Welcome to the latest episode, guys, of Who, What, When, Where, and the Why. My name is Jason Eick. I'm the Health and Wellness Director at Tuscarawas County YMCA. I'm very excited today. Usually you see me in one of these chairs, but today I'm actually going to be your host, which usually Kathleen Johnson does this for us. She does a fantastic job, but I'm going to try and do good for you guys today as well. With me, super excited about having Shana Angel and Omar Garcia with me today. They are two of my wellness staff and two of my personal trainers and exercise instructors. Welcome, guys.
Hello.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Today's podcast, we're going to call it Raising the Bar. Actually, Omar named the podcast for us today.
Creative.
So, yeah, very creative. He gave me a number of suggestions. This one was the one that we picked. They were all equally creative.
But I love my puns.
Omar and his puns, absolutely.
So
they were all great. Yeah, so we're talking about raising the bar today. When you guys know, when you see me on the podcast for the Y, that we're typically talking about fitness because that's what I do. So I thought today would be a cool change to bring in two of my staff to sort of let them talk and kind of talk about their techniques, their philosophies, and some ways that we can kind of welcome everyone out there that might kind of think after the pandemic we need to get a little bit moving a little bit more and need to start getting back to health and fitness. I'm excited to see what these guys say today. So we're going to get right into it. So with the first question we're going to talk about is, guys, tell us a little about how the two of you came into the health and wellness industry and the YMCA. We'll start with Shana, if that's okay.
That is so fine. You know that's fine. So when I was growing up, I was a competitive figure skater. I think I've said that before on this podcast. In fact, I think Kathleen learned that on this podcast, and she was shook.
I believe she did.
Straight up shook.
She wasn't expecting it.
But yeah, so being active has always been part of my lifestyle. And after I had my son a few years ago, I got really sick, and then I decided that I wanted to buy my husband personal training packages, but do them as buddy training so that it was also a present for me. And we ended up training with Jason, and I loved it. I loved lifting. I had never seriously lifted before, and apparently I liked it enough that I stuck around, and I got my certification as a personal trainer, and I've been here ever since.
And she does all this stuff super well with classes and stuff. And I usually just kind of go, hey, how about adding this? Which is why she does Kids on the Move now and all this other stuff. So we usually just be like, hey, Shauna is our go-to person, and she does a fantastic job. But it speaks to her versatility. Speaking of versatility, Omar, super. I mean, you have an awesome Y story. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the way I came into health and wellness was just basically when I was little, I was very skinny and very hyperactive up until about fourth grade. And then my thyroid slowed down, much like my mom and much of her side of the family. We all have hypothyroidism. So I was overweight for a very long time, probably from fourth grade up through grad school, really.
Really?
And it wasn't until I really got out of grad school when I graduated. It was the summer of 2003. I was living in Akron, and at that point, I really decided, it's time to get in shape. When you're in school, I'm sure many people can probably empathize with this. It's difficult to eat healthy
Sure.
and make smart eating decisions and things like that. But when I got out of school, I figured this was the time. I was living in Akron, and I lived across from Glendale Cemetery. So I would just go over there and run, and I think the first day, I probably ran for about 2 or 3 minutes, and I was out of breath. And, I kept it up. In addition to exercising, I just also, began eating healthier. And basically over that summer and into the following winter, so it was probably over the course of 8 or 9 months, I lost about 60 pounds.
Wow. And
at that point, really couldn't lose much more weight, so I started going up to the FitWorks in Akron, and I did I had a personal trainer there for a while, and, I continued, on my own lifting for a long time, and so that's probably ever really since about 2003, 2004 is when I started lifting weights, eating healthy, making good decisions like that. And then I think I started working at this Y in probably 2011, around then, about 10 years ago. And working in the aquatics department. I still work in the aquatics department. Over the years, I've lifeguarded, I've taught swim lessons, I've taught aqua aerobics, and
Tai Chi? You did Tai Chi?
I did Tai Chi. Yeah. So I'm thinking just as far as the water aquatics goes, those were the things I was doing.
Awesome.
But then when did I start in the wellness center? Maybe 4 years ago?
Yeah.
I'm going to guess something like that.
It was 4 years ago.
And then since then, I've been working in the wellness center. I did teach a Tai Chi class for a while. I think I taught one chair yoga class before the lockdown happened. But that's basically been my kind of story and how I got into fitness and how I got into working at the Y.
So a lot of versatility there, which I think is really interesting. So you don't have to pigeon yourself into one like discipline or one style, which I think is important because some people are like, oh, to be in shape, I just have to run like half marathons all the time, or I have to bench press 350 pounds. That's not the case. There's lots of different avenues, lots of different pathways to wellness. That's such a nice keyword, right? Pathways to wellness. But so moving on here, those are awesome answers, guys. How do you individually motivate new clients who may be new to fitness while developing relationships and trust? So you guys both talked about how you came in, and both of you, which I thought was interesting, you guys both had a personal trainer. And you guys, I didn't have a trainer, so I sort of taught myself when I came into this. I was just like, well, this is the body I want. This is the style of exercise that I want to get into. So I just immersed myself into literature and videos, and with usually the old bodybuilding guys from the 70s, like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Franco Columbu, that kind of stuff. Most people are like, who are they? But, that's how I did it. So I'm interested. So you guys came in as trainers, getting a trainer. So I'm interested to see how you would talk to somebody if you had, because you guys get new clients all the time. So how do you break the ice with them and kind of motivate those new people?
So I think one of the things that is very, very important when you're starting to work out is finding what you enjoy, because not everybody's going to come into the wellness center and be like, I want to bench.
Right.
Some people want to find something a little different. Like I tried out so many different types of exercise, everything from aerial yoga all the way to powerlifting.
I remember your area yoga story. He wasn't a fan, if I remember correctly.
Of the one experience. I did it for a long time, but yeah. And being able to find something that fits each person is really important.
Right.
And I think the value in a personal trainer is that you have that accountability. You have somebody who's counting on you to show up and do your workout. Not only that, but it helps prevent injury. So if you come in and you work out way too hard on the first day and you hurt for like a week afterwards, you're not going to want to come back 3 more times that week. So having somebody who knows how to moderate that and help you find what fits for you is really important.
Right, because some people think that that's how it's done. Some people think that you have to have that crazy, that like almost breakneck intensity, and if you're not hurting, if you don't feel like a train hit you the next day, then you have a quality workout. And that's absolutely not the case. And I try to tell clients that they shouldn't be chasing that elusive soreness, because if you're chasing that feeling, you're always going to be striving to put your body under more and more stress to obtain that. All soreness is, guys, all it is an indication that your body's doing something it's not used to. Simple as that. End of story. Period. So you can have quality workouts and not have that soreness. And now you should feel like you did something. You should have some semblance, but you should not feel over and over again after every workout that you have intense muscle soreness and pain. If that's the case, then you may have an injury or your recovery. That I would think that your recovery is in question. So either in your diet or your rest. So after I'm done rambling, I'll give it to Omar.
Yeah, just as far as with clients, I usually kind of differentiate between like muscle fatigue and soreness.
Correct. That's good.
Like you should never feel sore. If something that you're doing, if something we're doing is causing soreness, then we need to modify that or stop it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But as far as motivating new clients, I know when I was studying to become a personal trainer, we learned about SMART goals, and some of the things about that are setting, small, obtainable goals.
Absolutely.
And you were talking about, not necessarily going gung-ho right away. Shana was talking about moderation. And so I think that's one area definitely where you can kind of help with new clients and make it a little less intimidating, is to set those small, attainable goals, sort of baby steps, so to speak, and give them things that, they can kind of see some results, in a relatively small amount of time. That it's really encouraging to be able to see something tangible.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And when I have new clients, and I think most of our trainers will usually write down the stuff that we're doing on our workout sheet. We'll write out the exercise and the weight that we're using. So even just certain things like seeing that they can increase the weight, so they can increase the reps from one week to another, is something that they can, it's a tangible
absolutely
thing that they can witness. And I think that, certainly helps motivate me, and I think it helps motivate a lot of people in general.
Yeah. I love that you mentioned that. So it might not be a tangible result that you're seeing maybe in the mirror, maybe on the scale, but if those, like Omar said, if those reps are coming up, or if that weight on a particular exercise is coming up, or you're able to maybe increase your range of motion.
Or even certain things too, like, I tell people, you don't need to be too fixated on, the numbers on the scale.
Absolutely.
Do your clothes fit a little bit looser?
Yep. Yeah.
There are a lot of different indications that you can, witness that let you know that you're making progress.
Yeah, it's all about body comp changes. I weigh, you probably weigh, let me guess, how much do you weigh?
About 190 right now.
I weigh 240 pounds, and I'm about 6 foot. People would look at me like, there's no way you weigh 240. What, it's muscles and more dense tissue. So, but if you put that, don't chase that number. Oh, I want to get down to 175. I would look pretty small at 175. So, so it's just, it's kind of how you're planning out that workout. What kind of body, what kind of performance do you want? Are you training to be in athletics? Are you training just for individual health and wellness? Or are you training for aesthetics? Do you want to compete in figure competitions or bodybuilding competitions? It's all a completely different game. And a quality fitness professional is going to be able to differentiate between that stuff, and they're going to be able to point you in the right direction so you can have those goals that are obtainable and keep you motivated. That's how you're going to keep coming. So those are awesome answers, guys. You just absolutely hit. I couldn't have said it any better myself.
And real quick.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. Talking
absolutely.
about some of the small things that you start to notice right away when you start working out, along with seeing those numbers going up on what you're lifting, things like that. The biggest thing that I hear from clients when they first start is within the first week or two, they start telling me that outside they have more energy. They can see themselves like being more active during the day because they're coming in and working out. So, and that's a huge thing for a lot of people.
Right. And also
able to have the energy to do stuff. They want to
improving everyday stuff too. So we should have talked on that. I'm glad you said that. My brain wasn't even going there, but, getting up and down a flight of stairs, being able to play longer with your grandkids or your children. These are some stuff that some of us that are maybe have been doing this stuff for 20 years, we take it for granted. Oh, of course we can run around after our kids. Of course we can go up a flight of stairs without being winded. There's people that can't walk 10 feet without being winded. So we take this stuff for granted, but if they're working out with a trainer, with one of us or anywhere else, and within 2 weeks, they see that endurance increase, wow, that's going to be massive. That's going to be a lot more important to them than a couple numbers on the scale, I would hope. But that'd be exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Sure. Awesome. It's just, you can't understate the value of it. It comes easy talking from us because it's been a part of our lives for so long, but we encourage you guys to do it. I mean, we can help you. We'll get you there. We'd love to talk to you about it. But moving on from that, kind of the same thing. So we get a client and the client's progressing and they're doing great. Let's talk a little bit about breaking through plateaus and keeping those results of a healthy lifestyle progressing. So we've had that client for 6-8 weeks. They're doing awesome. They're coming pretty consistently. Their diet's in check for the most part. And it gets to the point where they're seeing that those clothes, they're not seeing that body comp change. Maybe a couple numbers on the scale are coming up because they might be adding muscle, which is more dense tissue. Maybe they're not quite going through those PRs, those personal records with those lifts. Maybe their kind of weights are getting kind of stagnant. So how do we get through that? How do we break through that for them?
I think a big thing is changing up the workout.
Yeah, absolutely.
And talking about it with them. So if you add some new things in there, mix it up so you're not just, bench,
right?
Curls.
Unless it's Jeff.
Yeah.
He'll get a kick out of we mentioned him.
He loves to bench. Yeah. It's his favorite. But mix in something like do walking lunges or wall balls or something they're not used to. Adding something in like that can really help remotivate you when you're feeling like, do I have to go to the gym today?
Yeah, interval training, Tabatas, circuits, supersets, that kind of stuff. That's the stuff that I've employed, and I know you guys do as well.
So this is, I don't know if it necessarily apply to a new client or someone that's been training for a while, but as far as a healthy lifestyle goes, I think if you plan ahead, it makes things easier. So for example, like if you have your gym bag, put it in your car the night before or something. If you can just come straight from work. I know I'm the type of person, if I get home, I'm pretty much stuck there for the rest of the evening. Right. You've tried to get me out sometimes for get-togethers in the evening, and it's like, I'm sorry, I'm home. Yeah. I'm in bed. I
think you've literally said that to me. No, I'm not coming back out. Yeah.
So that's, one obstacle I think that a lot of people, could face. That it's just as soon as you get home, you just go into relax mode. So, have your gym bag in the car, be ready to go. Likewise with nutrition. Yeah. If you leave your food up to choice, a lot of times you're going to have vending machines.
Which is why you don't go to the grocery store hungry.
And fast food and things like that. Yep. And I mean, if you do that, that's fine. But I know for me personally, I bring my cooler with me to work, and my mysterious cooler of mystery, forbidden cooler of mystery,
he does.
I call it. And I have all my meals and stuff through the day. I have snacks. I eat every 2 to 3 hours. Yeah. And I know if I didn't do that, it'd be much harder to make those healthy eating decisions and nutrition.
But you know what that does? That keeps you on a routine.
Oh yeah.
So you form that routine, and that is so important to keep in that accountability, because you're accountable to yourself then. If you're not, you could be as accountable as you want to a small group partner or a personal trainer, but if you're coming and going through all the motions, but when you get home, you're smashing a pizza, drinking a 6-pack, every night, your results are going to be on the table. So if you're doing those kind of things that you just talked about, that's a fantastic way to get yourself into a routine, to be honest with yourself, and to be accountable to yourself. I think that's a great answer.
And that brings up the whole conversation of motivation and how people are motivated. So there's extrinsic and intrinsic motivation. What Omar's talking about is yes, I like big words. What Omar is talking about is intrinsic motivation. That's the motivation that comes from inside you. That is what you bring to the table, and that's the most important kind. I don't want to discount extrinsic motivation at all. The people around you that are pushing you, the way you feel accountable to your trainer, maybe you've put money on the line. That's a good extrinsic motivator. Maybe if you say, I complete 6 weeks of training, then I get to go do this thing. I'll do that with myself if I'm in a lull.
That's why those workplace things do so well a lot of times. You'll have workplace wellness, and then you do that competition, everybody in your office.
I'll bribe myself with new workout clothes. But those are two different kinds of motivation that are both really important. But the people that are the very most successful are the ones that are motivated because they know this is what they need to do for themselves.
It's more sustainable.
Yeah.
Yep. Awesome. Anything that you do, be it not just health and wellness stuff, but especially on diets. If it's something you can sustain for a long haul, then it's something that you're much more likely to do. If it's something that okay, let's absolutely have 0 carbohydrates. Yeah, that you're going to drop weight really, really quick. But the problem with that's absolutely not you can't sustain that. It's not realistic. So you're going to you might do that for a month, but after that, you're going to be so completely carb deficient that you're going to just, go, yeah. So we want to try and talk to people about not only exercise that's sustainable, but diet stuff too. You have to be able to kind of keep that going.
Yeah.
So, yeah, great.
Yeah. Understanding the basics of nutrition and where your calories come from is a really important part of your health and wellness. And that's sort of outside the scope of a personal trainer's practice, but it is something that we do know about and like,
sure,
we can talk about. We can't necessarily advise you on making meal plans and stuff, but we do know something.
We know something. We
know one or two things. They do teach you how many calories each carbohydrate has in your trainer certification.
Yes, absolutely.
So I can tell you that.
I can tell you that. I actually paid attention to that part in school. But all right, guys, let's talk to that person. This is kind of, I tried to, when I wrote these questions, to try to get them to kind of flow. But let's talk about that person now who's watching, who's never had a trainer. They're a bit nervous or apprehensive. This is what we've tried to do every time that I've been on this podcast, to kind of break through and be like, hey, listen, this isn't scary, even though, Omar looks like a rock god.
He's terrifying.
And I have this huge beard and stuff, but we're actually really, I assure you, we're very nice people. Well, at least Omar is. But what can we say to these people that maybe be on the fence and be like, wow, training is so intimidating. It's so scary. It's so, I don't know. What if I can't do one push up in front of this trainer? Like, what if they go, oh man, you're too far gone, just go back home, which is never going to happen. Which would say, hey, some people think that. Some people think that they're going to get in front of people and they're going to have you do an assessment, which is part of the reason why I don't do assessments. Oh, no. And that's very controversial, Shana. There's probably trainers out there that go, oh, they don't do assessments. I haven't for 15 years. And this is why. There's exercises that I put people in that I can tell right now, okay, you have weakness in your glutes and you have a tightness in your lower body and posterior chain if you can't get to a parallel squat. So I have people do that and I can ascertain where you are physically. But those things are I lost my train of thought there, but those assessments are so important to the mainstream training. So you and I are a little bit on the fringe there. So it sounds like, oh no assessments. I know, right? But a lot of people do. But let's talk about that person, or let's talk to that person. What would or should we as professionals and YMCA staff say to a person like that to kind of get them motivated to come talk to us?
Well, I would just say two things. One is when I'm training people, and I think Sean and I have both done this, and I've seen other personal trainers there as well, is that we do have a back room, which is like kind of for stretching and floor exercises and things like that. And so sometimes, if you're a little nervous about being out in the open where everyone can see you, there is a little bit of privacy back there. It's not quite as intimidating for the client that maybe can't do a push-up yet or things like that. But I would say also just the environment at the Y, it's not necessarily like a powerhouse gym. No. There are certainly some guys in there that are very strong. You see them doing max lifts and things like that. But you'll also see, senior citizens in there walking around the track, using the elliptical bikes. You'll see people of all different ages, different stages in their lives, different goals. So I think probably just seeing the people around you, and realizing that it's not all just, what people might think of traditional meatheads.
Correct.
Things like that.
Yeah, but I can't speak for everybody, but I think our members, I can rattle off 5 people right now that are pretty strong and that are, as soon as you look at them, they're physically intimidating. But these people are motivating and they will help you, even though they're not on my training staff and they might not be certified personal trainers. They would be more than happy to politely, friendly. They're going to assist you in ways that's not intimidating. You're not going to look at you and go, "What are you doing here?" That doesn't happen in our wellness center. If it did, I would make sure that it didn't happen again. So fitness is for everybody. It really is. That sounds like a cliche. Not every exercise is, not every style is, but fitness is for everybody. We can make modifications to have you get success. We can make modifications for you to get those goals. It might look a little different than your neighbor or your friend or even your husband or your wife, but we can get you there. So that's awesome that you said that. I think we have a welcoming environment, and not only the back stretching room, but we do small group training downstairs in the aerobics room. As long as we don't have classes down there, I encourage it. So I know Shana has taken people down there. A couple of our other trainers have taken people down there. So, and I think we're in the process of getting another room.
Yeah.
Which just maybe Tiffany will yell at me for spilling the beans, but we have plans to get another room where the spin bikes are now. So we're going to utilize that for a couple more things. It isn't just going to be for that spin room. So we have some flooring coming, and my hope is to get some equipment in there so we can have that be another area where we can have small groups and the like, which is, it could be a little bit more of a private spot. So to kind of ease people in there.
Yeah. And I definitely agree that having that stretching room is very comforting to a lot of people.
Absolutely.
And you mentioned modification. So I would say out of my clients, 70% of them modify push-ups.
Sure.
I think maybe one client actually does push-ups on the floor, like full push-ups. And even then sometimes they modify. Right. So modifications are not anything to be embarrassed about. I modify stuff for myself simply because I know what my body is capable of, what injuries my body's seen in the past. And
that's definitely why I have to do it.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. And you learn those things about people. So I know most of my clients, this one, we're going to be doing our overhead presses with hands turned in versus out because she's had a shoulder injury, things like that. And you make those modifications so that you feel more comfortable. And I'm not ever going to laugh at you for not being able to do something. And I know people hear personal trainer and they think they're going to yell at me.
It's going to be a drill sergeant.
Oh my gosh. I've never heard anybody yell. I don't think Omar has ever yelled at anything in his life.
I don't think he ever has.
I don't know if his voice goes that loud.
No, I don't know.
I talk loud sometimes, but I'm not going to yell at you. Goodness sakes.
Even other trainers and other facilities that I've been around over the course of my career, even those of us that's just not how it's done. If somebody's doing that to you, you probably, unless you respond to that, I suppose. I don't know. I know there probably are people that do that, and if it works for you, then that's awesome. But I'm not sure that would probably just be a niche, for an just a kind of just select few people.
I'll cheer for you loudly, but I won't yell at you.
Yeah, absolutely. We're not scary.
And when I say all abilities, I mean, I have clients, all ages, all abilities. It is up and down the spectrum. Yep. So, you could come in. I've had a client come to me at 90 years old and be like, let's work out.
Yep.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
I don't care how old you are. Let's go.
Well, you have a lot of special needs clients, and the retention rate's super high on that. I'm just kind of tooting your horn there.
They're awesome.
That's awesome. Like a wide variety of population that all of us have worked with. I know Omar, you've done the same thing. I've trained clients as young as 6, all the way up 6. Can you believe that? All the way up to I think 85 is the oldest person I ever had. But
Omar, how old have you gone?
Maybe 60s.
Yeah. We got to change that.
Then do I have the record at 90?
You may. I don't know if I've ever trained somebody that's 90. So I don't know. I
have to go find a 91.
I know, right?
Now the competition is on.
But I mean, you can have that strength, and it helps. I was talking a little bit ago about that quality of life. If you have that strength, even at that advanced age, it's going to be so much easier for them to do stuff that we take for granted. They're going to be able to reach above their head to grab something out of the cupboard, to be able to get in and out of their car if they're still driving. And I know a lot of 9-year-olds that are still driving. Being able to get up and down steps, being able to walk their dog, playing with their grandkids, pick up like a younger grandkid, a smaller grandkids. And those are huge things for people, especially when you get to that age, because it gets to be about those little life joys that maybe now in our 30s and 40s we're like, but in 30 or 40 years, that things are going to change. So being healthy and being strong, not to mention the fact that if you're building muscle, especially for young ladies, it's warding off that osteoporosis, it's increased the density of the bones. So it's going to remove some of that likelihood of that fall risk. So it's going to increase your balance, increase your abdominal strength, so you're not quite as uneasy, and your bones are going to be a lot more stronger as a result because of the bone density increases. So there is no downside. You're going to be stronger. You're going to have much more energy. You're going to be more flexible. So I mean, there is no downside. One last thing, guys. These are awesome. We could do this all day, but let's talk about. What's your favorite thing about being part of the YMCA? Now I know your favorite thing is working with me.
Yes.
So I know.
Okay.
Is that the right answer?
But other than that, other than working in Jason Eick's department, what's your favorite part of the YMCA?
I feel like the whole YMCA is a family. I think I've said this
Correct.
before on many YMCA media outlets.
Yeah.
But yeah.
They don't pay us extra to say that.
No. No, but it does. It's really like a big giant family. Like
Right.
everybody from the preschool to the pool to the wellness center, all of them, I feel like I know them
Right.
and can talk to them. I guess I'll give member services that too. Whatever.
Throw it out for Gary.
For Gary. No, I'm just kidding. Well, member services is awesome. But yeah, but I feel like it's a big family. Everybody's there because they want to be there.
Right.
Nobody's there to like make $1 million.
No.
And
We are a nonprofit, remember.
and I think that's what makes it a really great place to be.
No, but like what Omar said earlier, Omar works in aquatics. He works in wellness. He's also a personal trainer and exercise instructor, fitness instructor. So there's, even though fitness and wellness is under the same umbrella, he's working aquatics too. So that's multiple departments that he works in. There's a lot of us that work in different departments. I know Kelly, she works in member service, but she also works in wellness. Kayla the same way. And if I take any more of their staff, Kathleen Johnson will hunt me down. So but it is, everyone working at member service is great because you know why? I think they have the hardest job in the building because they have to know all the rules and regulations. They have to be well schooled and versed in the programming. Plus, they have to greet everybody, so they know everybody that comes in, all the members' names. It's definitely a very important job, and they do a great job. They got a great staff, child watch staff the same way.
Yeah.
You got to be willing. You got to be so welcoming and comfortable so the members can leave their children with you. That's a huge thing, especially now post-pandemic.
Yeah.
And so aquatics, obviously, that's a life skill. I know Stacy will probably give me some bonus points for saying life skill, but that's something that we all should know how to do. And the aquatic staff is super welcoming to provide people with that life skill, even if they're older, let alone if they're younger in the youth water classes. So it is a family, and I'm proud to be a part of it.
I would say continuing with what Shana said, I would say too that definitely the environment, the camaraderie, is definitely a big plus. I mean, in addition just to working with you, I mean, I do consider you friends too.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
And we're gonna have a group hug after the
20
the
seconds.
podcast,
20 seconds.
not on camera.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like if I'm having a bad day, like if I'm depressed about something,
Right.
like I could come to Shana or I could come to Jason, and I could talk to them about whatever's on my mind. I know
Right.
they're not going to judge me or anything like that. Right. The other thing too, just personally for me, my favorite part of the Y is just having access to the gym on a regular basis. I mean, I am a gym rat. I definitely enjoy that. It's really almost like therapy in a way.
Yep.
I just like to put some aggressive music on, lift some heavy weights, and it's a good way to kind of rid yourself,
Right.
of maybe negativity or depression or whatever you're going through.
Absolutely.
So
Another
that's
side
a
note.
big plus.
Tell us real quick. Omar is a professional musician. He plays guitar
Yes.
and bass in numerous bands.
Yes.
And,
He's awesome.
Yeah, he's
good.
fantastic. I play guitar, but
Guitar is my main instrument. I mean, I've played bass before, with some of my friends' bands.
Yeah.
I played piano growing up.
Yeah.
Percussion.
Wow. Yeah, he's a super talented guy. We're
Just
Jack of
generally
all trades,
versatile.
master of none.
yeah, it sounds familiar. Well, guys, anything else we have? Want to talk about anything else or real quick?
Should we mention the types of personal training we have? Because we don't just have
That would
one-on-one personal
Probably be
training.
a fantastic thing to say. Yeah, we
Yeah.
do have one-on-one training. We talked a little bit about small group training. That's something I usually, as long as we have up to between 3 and 5, 3 and 6, we can do small group. It makes it very cost effective for the individuals. Youth personal training is something that's always been very popular. And that is up until the youth age is all the way up until, I believe, 18. And that's another thing that's very inexpensive that we offer at the YMCA. We still have those skill set training where we can go through, and if you really want to learn how to do the barbell deadlift, we provide that for you. If you want to know how to do the bench press, squats, that kind of stuff. So we provide kind of like a training session where it's basically breaking down those movements. And those are hit and miss. Sometimes we get a little bit of that, and sometimes people kind of just do that on themselves. But I've seen this from training in weight rooms and stuff, working with sports teams in the area. a lot of times if a kid learns how to do a bench or a squat in a weight room, and I'm not going to discount school athletics because they have come a mile and a half. I see such a difference when I'm in a school weight room now. Now they have real professionals in there, which I think is awesome. So they're actually teaching these kids how to exercise properly so they don't get hurt. But we have a bunch of different things. Am I missing anything?
30-minute motivators, buddy sessions. Oh my gosh, Jason.
Go ahead, Shana. Take
buddy session. I love buddy sessions. It's where you train with a friend. There's two of you. And
how excited she is.
I know. Well, one of my favorite groups to train is a buddy session. Yeah. So,
because she's everybody's buddy.
I'm everybody's buddy. I am.
And you were talking about just ways to motivate people. I mean, for some people, they like that social aspect, of having that friends in there and having, moral support, things like that. And then some people, such as myself, are more intrinsically motivated.
Yeah, intrinsically motivated. Look at these big words. It's a vocabulary lesson. I just
perfectly content to just work out on their own and do their own thing.
And we can provide both that for you. That's why group fitness is so popular. And we're so proud of our group fitness program because people come in and they look around like, where's Peggy? Peggy is famous Peggy. If you go in the wellness center, you're going to know Peggy. But where's Peggy? I watch Peggy for the movements. And then, so if Peggy doesn't show up like she did last week, as she had the thing with her grandkids, everybody's like, where is she? Oh my gosh, do we have to call her? Is she okay? So there's that camaraderie and there's that, you reach out and you get that personal relationship, which you can get that anywhere, but we are super proud of the YMCA. We think that we take it a little bit of a notch above. In fact, I know we do. It goes back into that family atmosphere. We don't do the hard sell. We don't intimidate. We want to educate you. We want to get you into fitness. We want to show you that it's fun.
Really, our goal is to help everybody get healthy.
Yeah, right.
Stay healthy and understand their bodies.
Absolutely.
Because every body is unique, and not everyone does things the same way.
Wow, that's like a tagline. I like
everybody
it.
Everybody is. Can we use that now?
Probably. Is that the title of the next podcast?
Yeah. Everybody is unique. Awesome.
Well, does anybody have any final thoughts? Anything they'd like to add?
Come train with us. We're nice.
Yeah. But yeah, we'd love to see you at the YMCA. I hope you guys enjoyed this. We tried to be as candid as possible. I thought with this group that we could be really kind of, loose and comfortable. So I hopefully achieved that. Hopefully we entertained you for the last 40 minutes. But once again, my name is Jason Eick. I'm the Health and Wellness Director at Tuscarawas County YMCA. If you have any questions about personal training, if you have any questions about the Wellness Center in general or group fitness, you can come talk to me. My email address is jason@tuscymca.org. And you can reach me by calling the Y anytime, 364-5511. And my extension is 320. I had to think about that for a second. Or you could just stop in and ask for me. I'm almost always there. And I could put you in touch with Omar, Shana, Angie, Dana, any of our awesome staff. So, and Natalie, we just brought Natalie on. So she's going to be awesome. So thanks again. I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. We'll hope to see you next time.